The Taurus G3C represents the optics-ready variant of the Taurus G3. Wait, hold on. Yeah, hold on. Hey, what's up, man? No, the payment came in. Yeah, it hit the account. Thank you for that. No, I'm filming that Taurus video right now, man. Now, I remember what you told me to say. No, we're good. Oh, you got a new horse? That's awesome. Hey, man, that's awesome. I'm sure she's a pretty pony. You can tell me about it later. Let me get this Taurus video filmed. All right, buddy. Catch up later. See ya. I'm David with the Humble Marksman channel. Are you ready? Stand by. The Toro represents a foray into the world of factory optics-ready pistols from Taurus. It's available both in the full-size version as the G3 or the compact version, which I have here as the G3C Toro. It builds on the success of the G3 series pistols and introduces the new optics-ready variants. So here we are again. This is kind of awkward because you said you wouldn't watch any of my videos again because of the other videos I made about Taurus, but here we are, and I've got the Taurus Toro, which I'm excited about because I'm a big fan of red dot sights on pistols, and this is Taurus's new variant, and it's being offered at a price point that is tough to ignore on an already very popular pistol. So to catch people up who maybe didn't catch my other videos on the Taurus G3C, oh, what's that? Another video where he can't dress himself and put his collar down properly? You got it, man. At least 3. If not 4. I got a Taurus G3C and it was not good. It could not make it through a full magazine without choking on the ammo. I tried it with brass and steel cased ammo. It choked on both, and that was from the factory. It was my reloads, and it was the steel from the factory. It didn't matter. It choked on all 3. I sent it to the factory back in Bainbridge, Georgia, and they kept it for 8 weeks, sent it back to me, and now the pistol works. So all is well in the world. This pistol's very much like my other G3C. This one worked 100%, and I checked and it absolutely cycles hollow point, so it is absolutely squared away for concealed carry, unlike my original Taurus, which took some trip back to the factory to get it into fighting shape. I'm just gonna run through the features real quick on the pistol, then we'll talk about the optics cut on the gun, and then we'll talk about value, because this pistol, I bought this pistol for $400. And while the G3C is a pretty strong value at about $280, sub $300 pistol, at $400, the competition starts to get a little bit thick. So that's where we're gonna finish on this one today. So starting with the Taurus G3C, as far as features are concerned, the gun is set up really, really well. They did a lot of cool stuff. They keep the cost down by giving you the gun in a cardboard box. The Toro only comes with 2 magazines instead of 3 mags, which is what came in the G3C that I have. The gun is still made in Brazil. While it does say Bainbridge, Georgia on the slide right here, it's stamped with made in Brazil right here on the frame. I know Such says it's made in Bainbridge, but if you watch his video on it, his is also made in Brazil. It's stamped on the frame, right as he's talking about it, oddly enough.
They've opened up facilities in Miami, Florida, and in Bainbridge, Georgia, which is a brand new factory. And that's where this G3 Toro is made.
Just stepped it up, putting optics.
The slide finish is not very pretty. It is a tinifer finish, which is a brilliant weapons coating. It kind of gets cloudy. It marks up really easily. Superficially, they all wipe off, but it just doesn't feel like a high quality finish, but it is a high quality finish. On the other pistol, I put it in and out of my Harry's Holster Singleton for the G3C over 500 times just to see if the finish would rub or wear out. And I'm happy to report that the finish held up beautifully. It had almost no wear. It is a very good slide finish, so the finish is fantastic. Doesn't look great, but it's fantastic. The grip and size of the pistol is very well suited for concealed carry. It's somewhere kind of between a single stack and a double stack pistol. So while it holds 12+1 rounds, it's a little bit thinner than something like a Glock 19 or an M&P or whatever, but it's a little bit thicker than like the P365s, the Shields, and all those things. But it absolutely disappears under a t-shirt if you're carrying inside the waistband. It has a manual safety in case you want to disable the striker when you put it into the holster. Not a terrible feature. It's easy enough to ignore. The texture on the pistol is exceptional. It is one of the best textures they've put on these pistols, so I was very happy to see that they continue to do so. The trigger itself, it is a double action, single action pistol. In my old video, I referred to it as a double action only. My old gun, there's not a huge difference between the double action and the single action. On this gun, there is a very distinct difference between the double action and the single action. So while the gun is cocked and in single action mode, very light take up, hits a pretty firm wall, and then there's only a small amount of creep, and then the trigger releases. Whereas once the trigger's released, if the slide doesn't cycle, you're now in the double action mode, so you don't get a hard wall, you just get a lot of stacking at the rear of the trigger stroke until the striker releases again. And the difference in the pull weight is about 5 pounds in single action to about 6 pounds in double action. That trigger weight is beautiful for concealed carry. The trigger provides a lot of tactile feedback, and when it is in single action mode, which it will be most of the time you're shooting it, it is a very predictable trigger. The trigger face is very flat across the front. It's actually quite easy to pull straight to the rear once you kind of figure out how to get your finger onto the trigger face. The grip is a little bit short front to back, but it is a concealed carry pistol, so you're not going to be able to manage recoil quite as well as you would were it a true double stack, because the grip is just so short from front to back. That said, it's not super uncomfortable to shoot. It does have a loud muzzle report, as any short barreled 9mm is going to have, and it is a very sudden and sort of violent recoil impulse, which any light slide skinny 9 is going to have as well. So totally typical for the segment, but nothing too scary to report there. The sights are Glock sights, which is nice because there's basically a built-in aftermarket at this point. On this particular gun, my gun came sighted about 3 inches to the right. That's not a huge deal. I was able to drift the rear sight with my punch, and now the gun is zeroed with the iron sights, but that's not really why we're here. We're here to talk about the optics mounting system that comes on the Toro. So there are basically 2, maybe 3 systems that people use to put optics onto guns. The first is like the Glock MOS system, where there's a plate and the screws that go through the optic are threaded into the plate, and the plate is threaded onto the slide. That's not my favorite system. A better system is typically the spacer system, which is what the Taurus utilizes, and that is going to be where they give you plates that go into the optic pocket that's wallowed out on the slide. You thread the screws through both the optic and the spacer into the slide itself, and then the plates provide recoil bosses which go up into the optic and alleviate the stress of the shear forces of the slide reciprocating. And so that's a pretty good low-cost way to do it. There's lots of other gun companies that do it. Initially, when I wrote my script for this video, I was going to say not nice things about the optic mounting system, because if you casually just take the plate out of the box and put it into the slide cut, there's a bunch of slop and wobble. While the recoil bosses were slightly undersized, which provided a little bit of slop of the optic onto the plate, I didn't love that, but it wasn't that big a deal. I was more concerned about the plate sliding around in the pocket. That was until I properly torqued the optic down onto the spacer. With 15 inch-pounds from my Wheeler fat wrench and some blue Loctite, when I came to take the plate off, I had to get my pocket knife out to get the plate off of the slide. It was in place and absolutely not moving. It was on there, no question. While it doesn't fit up with like a casual fitting, the second you introduce pressure down onto that plate, it locks down on the slide. So I can give the optics mounting plate a seal of approval. It is absolutely squared away. If you want to see the optic that I shot on this gun, check out my B channel, where I've got a quick review of the optic over there. But what I noticed when I put the red dot on this gun is that the accuracy from the G3C is actually quite good. I was, when zeroing the pistol, printing basically clover leaves at about 12 to 13 yards, and I was very well pleased. With the iron sights, you know, it's harder to aim with iron sights. It's a grosser aiming mechanism. So putting a red dot sight on this, I could absolutely run it back to 50, even 100 yards. Wasn't that big a deal to shoot with a dot on the pistol. So it really increases the effectiveness of a concealed carry pistol if you can make peace with using a red dot. So that brings us to value. But before we talk about value, we need to talk about the sacred relationship between content creator and you, the subscriber, who likes my videos. See all the other people who like the video, you should too. So I make world-class firearms content, and you watch this content. As you watch this content, you remember your childhood love of Chuck E. Cheese, and you decide to buy some of the animatronic robots, specifically the drummer, and put my logo on his kick drum. So when when you post videos to social media or scare off your wife's friends who come visit you at the house, they'll all know of the world-class firearms content here on the channel.
We waiting for? Let's go perform.
Yeah. I like pizza and playing games.
If you like my content, guys, check out my Patreon, where just $1 a month gets you access to 3 to 5 posts per week. And similarly, follow the link in the description to join Big Daddy Unlimited. It's a buyer's club for Second Amendment stuff. And if you like watching gun reviews, there's a good chance you'll like getting the best prices on Second Amendment stuff. So check that out. So getting back into value with the G3C Toro, it is a $400 pistol that comes with 2 magazines. It's not a standout in the field. It is on the lower end of what an optics-ready pistol costs, but by going up $120 in price, you're giving up a magazine, but you're gaining 4 steel optic plates. So a lot of the charm of what the G3C represented is, you know, a decent pistol for less than $300. It's gone at this point. For $30 more, you've got the Canik TP9 Elite SC, which I've also done a video on and reviewed here on the channel as well. And if you put these pistols side by side, there's really not any value in the Taurus. The TP9 Elite SC, while it is a bit fatter, it is a true double stack gun. It has similar proportions other than thickness, a similar weight. It is cut for only 1 optic type as opposed to accommodating 4, but it comes with a 12 round and 15 round magazine with a grip sleeve. It comes with a holster. It comes with one of the best triggers available on a striker fire gun, whereas the G3C trigger is just kind of ho-hum at best. It's okay. So it begins to beg the question, like, is $30 enough to turn heads towards the Taurus and away from the Canik or some of the other pistols? Like the IWI Masada is about $450. The Masada, in my opinion, is a better pistol than the G3C as well for not that much more money. It is a bigger pistol, granted, so if you want the compact size, I think the Taurus or the Canik SC is probably going to be the way to go. But if you're looking at the full-size pistols, the Masada is a more pleasant gun to shoot. The sights are kind of bad on the Masada, but it's in that same ballpark. So that leaves me with my question for you guys. Would you consider for $400 the Taurus G3C Toro? I mean, I'm legitimately curious if the value proposition is still there for you. Does it stand on its merit enough? Is the quality high enough where you would look past the Masada or the Elite SC for it, and not just, is it just price alone that makes these things appealing? I'm legitimately curious, and I'd love to hear your comments in the comment section. And if you made it this far, I have this link for you. It's my original Taurus G3C review, where you can call me bad names in the comments, and here is the update video to that. I appreciate you guys. I'll catch you on the next one.